everyone, and welcome to Assen. It is the second race day of the fourth race weekend of the DTM season 2020, and we're psyched to get racing today. And today all eyes are on this lovely woman. She is not only a grid girl and looking wonderful, but she's also the girlfriend of Robin Freins, and he doesn't know yet, so we're going to surprise him now, and let's see what he says. So Robin Freins is starting in P3. He's still taking off his helmet, and he's getting, taking off the helmet, and then hopefully we're going to grab him and see his face when he sees a little surprise. Hey Robin, how are you doing? We've got a little surprise for you, Robin.
Surprise.
So how about joining me?
Hang on a second.
Yep, of course it takes a while. He needs to get the helmet off, he needs to put the face mask on because of course safety first. Come this way, we've got a little surprise for you. If you remember, there was some story about if you win, there should be a surprise. Look over there, over here. I think that's your girlfriend, Maike, right?
I didn't see that one coming. Oh my God, hey. We're gonna have a picture?
Well, we're only in a live show, so of course we got to take a moment for that. But Robin, just curious, what do you think of her? Sexy grid girl, right?
She looks gorgeous, doesn't she?
Of course she does.
Really nice.
So maybe you could get used to that, right?
Yeah, every race now, right? No way.
All right,
I didn't see that one coming, eh?
So we're excited that the surprise worked. But Robin, one more question in regards to the race, of course. You're starting from P3. So what are you going to do in order to make it a successful one here in your home country?
Well, the weather plays a big role again. It rained again. There's coming a dry line again, so we have to see what we're going to start, if we're going to start on rain or slicks. It's definitely not going to be easy to stay out of trouble in the first couple of laps, but then hopefully it will be the same than yesterday.
Yep, hopefully, and maybe she's going to be your lucky charm. So enjoy the moment. Thank you so much, and now to the commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Welcome along, everybody, to the second race of the weekend here at Assen. It's round 8 of the DTM 2020 coming up. I'm Chris Hartley, and I'm going to talk you through what is looking more likely going to be a wet race, because it is supposed to stop raining, according to the weather app, at least that I've got. But it's actually getting heavier and heavier now, and there's been some shots before we came on air of various team bosses and team principals looking at satellite pictures on their phones, but as you can see, it has really started to come down now. There are some clearer patches in the sky, as you saw from the wide shot, in and around the circuit. But again, like yesterday, after qualifying had finished, there was some heavy rain here, much heavier than it was yesterday. The track was starting to dry out, but it has just started to absolutely lash it down here. So any dry lines that were starting to form, and it did dry out quite quickly yesterday while the drivers were on the grid, forget about that. I think currently, with just over 15 minutes to go before the race starts, I would imagine that there's no consideration, even for the guys at the back of the field, about starting this race on slick tyres, because this downpour that we've got currently is very, very heavy indeed. So you heard from Robin Freins, yesterday's race winner, his first victory in the DTM. But after a dry qualifying session this morning, it was one of his big rivals for the championship, the reigning champion, René Rast, that stuck it on pole position by a very narrow margin. And earlier on, we caught up with him down on the grid with Verena.
And I'm here with the reigning champion, with René Rast, who's starting in pole position. It's good to have you here. It's a second pole. The first one was in Spa, and now finally you're in pole position. It's raining. Is that good or bad?
I'm not sure if it's raining. It's more like drizzle, because the second and third part of the track is fully dry, but here it's fully wet. So I don't know what to do actually, because it depends all on the rain. If the rain decreases now, it's for sure it's rain tire. If it's like that, I don't know.
So it's going to be a tricky one, and it's a gamble.
Yeah, for sure it's a gamble. I mean, if you're in the front, you cannot take a lot of risks. So you might go defensive and then stop early for slicks, but the runners in the back, they can maybe go a bit more risk and start directly on slicks. So it's a gamble.
All right. We hope you're going to make the right decision. Best of luck. Thank you very much. And here's your commentator.
Thanks, Verena. So that was just before we came on air, and look how much it's changed in, what, less than 10 minutes. It's gone from a track which looked like it might dry out and slicks might be an option to absolutely 100% wet tyres are the way to go. And there you see Robert Kubica in his first season of DTM, who has managed his best grid position of the season so far. He's going to be starting in the top 10. Also on the 5th row of the grid with him, Harrison Newey, another of the DTM rookies this year, the British driver who's been getting consistently quicker and quicker in what's been a pretty impressive start to his DTM campaign so far this year. We'll see how he gets on in the wet weather conditions. It was extremely dry and sunny for qualifying this morning, and we saw the first lap time sub 1:23 being set by René Rast to get pole position. There's Timo Glock, another ex-Formula 1 driver like Robert Kubica, who is going to be lining up on the 4th row of the grid for Team RMG. Timo finished second in the second race at the Lausitz Ring around the Grand Prix version of the circuit at the previous event. But it hasn't been such a strong performance so far for BMW. Certainly in the dry conditions, they've been lagging behind the Audis, both in terms of qualifying pace and race pace. This might be a golden opportunity for them. It really mixes things up when things come into play with the weather. Ferdinand Habsburg has been impressive this weekend so far. The Austrian, the WRT squad has qualified 7th for this one. He was on the 2nd row of the grid yesterday, and he ran as high as 2nd in the early stages of the race. And there is Jonathan Aberdeen, who has been the star of the BMW show so far this weekend, with a strong 6th place finish in yesterday's race. And Jonathan has qualified 6th on the grid for this wet race. Mike Rockenfeller is going to be lining up in 5th position on the grid. And then we've got the top 4 ahead of him. Nico Muller out of the top 3 for the first time in qualifying this season. Robin Frijns, he heard from the start of the show, 3rd. And then in the front row, it's going to be Loic Duval 2nd. And René Rast is going to be lining up on pole position. So the Audis are at the front, but the leading light for BMW, maybe with an opportunity to push forward in these conditions, is Jonathan Aberdeen, the South African, who has been impressive in his first season with BMW so far in 2020. Again, before the rain came down heavily, Verena was able to catch up with Jonathan down on the grid.
And the best BMW is Jonathan Aberdeen, starting in P6, and he's a true gentleman, wanted to give me the umbrella. Unfortunately, we have to keep social distance. But yeah, Jonathan, what can you do? I mean, it's pouring with rain right now, and it's going to be a very tricky race, I bet.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, completely turned around from the qualifying where it was nice and dry and the sun was shining. But you know, in these conditions, anything can happen. I can be first on the first lap, or I could be last on the first lap, or you know, you can come from the back and win. So I personally enjoy these conditions a lot. So I will for sure be having quite some fun in the race.
Oh, I'm sure you will, and we're going to enjoy it as well. So best of luck, Jonathan, and back to you.
So Jonathan Aberdeen in his 2nd season of DTM. He was an Audi driver last year, finished 10th in his first season in the championship, and actually his joint best result so far came here at Assen, which was a 4th place finish. He got a 4th place finish at the Nürburgring last year as well, which is the next circuit we go to next week and the week after, part of a triple header in September of 3 back-to-back race weekends. 8 points finishes for Jonathan as well last year, and he's got some good consistency here. Well, it was bound to happen, this, wasn't it? The minute you get spectators back, the heavens open, and those unfortunate enough not to be in one of the covered grandstands, I'm afraid getting rather soggy and wet at the moment. But it is, when the weather comes into play, as I say, it always makes for interesting racing. We thought this might be the race we got yesterday, in that it looked like they were going to start the race potentially on wet tyres and then it would dry out. But the longer they're on the grid, the quicker it dried, and in the end it was a no-brainer to go for slick tyres. It is much, much wetter this time. It's still raining pretty heavily, but it does look like the rain is not going to last for the entire race. So there is still, given how quickly it's been drying up, there is still the opportunity that it might, at some point in the race, be starting to think the drivers and the teams about going for slick tyres. So this is going to mix things up. It was mighty close in qualifying this morning. René Rast getting pole position by just 29 thousandths of a second. That is not even the closest gap we've had in qualifying this year, but scoring his 2nd pole position and a crucial 3 points in the championship as well. So he's 3rd on 110 points now. Robin Frijns, who moved up to 2nd in the standings yesterday, is on 120. And Nico Muller still leads the way in the Drivers' Championship with 149 points as we look set for the 8th race of the season. So we're here at Assen. It's in the northeast corner of the Netherlands, and it is the capital of the cycling province of the Netherlands, Drenthe. Also, each November, it becomes a centre of attention, this area, for the world of international ballroom and Latin American dancing. And the city hosts the Assen Dance Festival. Lots of historic buildings in the nearby city itself, but a real passion for motorsport in this part of the world with this fabulous TT circuit. Capacity when it's full of 110,000 spectators. The original Assen track was first used for the 1925 Dutch TT, and that was 95 years ago. Held on country roads through nearby villages. The original circuit had a length of nearly 29 kilometres. The circuit has been redesigned several times since then. This latest iteration was developed and designed in 2006. And there's only the finish line that really replicates where the original circuit was now. The original circuit itself, after it moved off the roads, was almost twice as long, 7.7 kilometres long. Well, you can see just how much standing water there is on the track now. This downpour that's happened since the drivers made their way onto the grid. But we've seen from a couple of the wide and high shots that there are some blue skies and lighter clouds in and around the circuit. Hard to believe it's changed so much, but then again, if you watched qualifying this morning, you wouldn't have ever believed it was going to rain at any point today. It was a beautiful morning for qualifying, but it changes very rapidly here. So circuit inspection this is, to make sure that it is going to be safe to start the race under normal race conditions. The powers that be, the people with much more knowledge of this sort of thing than me, will take the decision. It is possible, of course, to start the race, and we've seen it in the past, behind the safety car until some of that surface water is shifted, which will only happen once the cars start to make their way around, even if it's at low speed behind the safety car. But there are some... Well, it's a newly resurfaced circuit. It is apparently pretty grippy in wet conditions, but there's wet conditions, then there's this, which is verging on torrential at the moment. You can see from the amount of spray that's just coming off the Audi safety car here, and this is at, you know, a fraction of the speed that the DTM cars are going to be going at. But there you can see there is a break in the clouds, and it does seem to be coming this way. So dark skies up above the circuit at the moment. Still, it is raining very heavily, but I think it's going to go away. Just be interesting to see if it does stop, how quickly the track will dry. Certainly doesn't look like tyre degradation issues with slick tyres, which was a factor yesterday, is going to come into play for this one. So championship hotting up nicely at the fourth weekend of the season. After the first race at the Nürburgring next weekend, we'll be at the halfway stage already in the championship. I say already because we had to wait a long time before the season actually got started. This huge weaving grandstand that works its way from the final set of corners through the chicane all the way down to the exit to turn one. This is how they're going to shape up then. René Rast and Loic Duval on the front row. Duval was on pole yesterday. Robin Freins starts third. Nico Muller, as I said, not in the top three in qualifying for the first time this season. Mike Rockenfeller, who's fourth yesterday, and Jonathan Aberdeen are next up. And Aberdeen is ahead of Habsburg and Glock, who starts seventh and eighth. Harrison Newey and Robert Kubica we've seen on the grid, and they were almost inseparable in their lap times in qualifying. Marco Wittmann is going to line up 11th. Jamie Green hoping to at least start the race today in 12th place after yesterday's travails. Then it's Engen van der Linde, Ultimate Road, Fabio Scherer, and Lucas Auer, who was last in qualifying anyway after running wide a couple of times, but then also had his times officially taken away from him because of a misdemeanor in parc ferme, working on the car after qualifying under parc ferme conditions, which is not allowed. But it didn't affect the grid because Lucas was due to start this one, as I say, at the back of the field anyway. And looking at those pictures, there's no sign at the moment that that rain is relenting at all. That wide shot really does give you more of an impression of how heavy it is falling here. So, yes, they can go away for a bit, the slick tyres, I reckon. They're all brought onto the grid with slick tyres on the cars. But they might still, I know it's almost unbelievable at this stage, but they might still need them at some point during the race, which is, you know, a relatively long race, of course, 55 minutes plus 1 lap. Hasn't yet started, due to get underway in what, less than 3 minutes time now before the cars will get underway. Still up on the jacks, but the wet tyres on for the Audi of René Rast. But you would be extremely brave to start on anything other than the Hankook Ventus treaded tyre for this one. So the gap at the top of the championship table has decreased slightly so far this weekend. At 1 point, Nico Müller was 37 points clear. Robin Freins then getting the win yesterday and also picking up some more points in qualifying this morning. So 29 points the deficit. Nico Müller will therefore still lead the championship come what may at the end of this race, with only 25 points available for the race win. So there you can see a break in the clouds. Well, wait for the action to get underway, though. I believe Verena has been able to catch hold of our championship leader.
I'm actually here with Nico Müller, the new daddy, because his girlfriend just had a baby, so that's exciting. You're starting in P4, and we just had terrible rain, so now the race is delayed. What's going through your head right now?
Well, just looking forward to get started, really. We have a 10-minute countdown running now, so I guess we will be on the road soon. Will be an exciting one. The weather seems to be very changeable here these days, and yeah, we never know what to expect. I mean, we will definitely start on wet tires, but I wouldn't exclude seeing people switch to slicks in the race, and maybe there will be even more rain coming. So yeah, we will just have to act in the situation and hopefully make the right decision.
And can you imagine what it's like out there? I mean, there must be puddles of huge water puddles. What's it going to be like, do you think?
Yeah, I think this new asphalt that they have put down in Assen is very smooth, so yeah, it doesn't absorb the water at all. Might be that we get some aquaplaning in some places, so we need to pay attention and hopefully, you know, keep it between the white lines in the first few laps and then start attacking.
All right, thank you so much, Nico. Best of luck. Got to close the door because Nico probably doesn't want to have the door open. Probably wants his peace right now. So yeah, back to the commentator for the moment.
Thanks, Verena. Yeah, it was a wet race here last year as well, which was the first race of the weekend back in July. And that was won by Marco Wittmann. So he certainly, I think, will be not disappointed, that driver in particular, to see these wet conditions. And there'll be several of them that love driving in wet weather conditions. And for those further down the grid, it presents an opportunity for them to try something different, and you know, power and handling become different accessories and allies when it's wet weather driving. The driver able to put in much more of their own input into the performance of the car. You need a car which handles well, of course, which has good balance, but if you're lacking top-end speed, it doesn't matter too much. Right, I think Verena has managed to catch up with another driver down on the grid, Ferdinand Habsburg, who went very well in qualifying this morning.
Yeah, I've got Ferdinand van Habsburg here. Ferdi, we can't get started yet. We've got another 6:30 to go. The visibility, I mean, it's going to be pretty tough, and also with all the water on the track. So what are you expecting?
Well, the further in front you are, the better you'll see. So I need to have, I think, an aggressive first lap to try to get ahead. P7, you'll still be able to see some things, but the clearer you'll see, the faster you'll go. So.
All right, best of luck. Thank you very much. And he's the fastest of the WRT drivers, so best of luck for the race. It's going to be interesting. Back to you.
Yeah, he makes a good point, doesn't he? Because the spray is going to be pretty epic, you would think, for the start of this race. There's confirmation on the screen of the delayed start. So it's going to be 1:40 local time. Well, it's 1:34 local time currently, so 6 minutes. That's not too much of a delay. The race was due to start at 1:33. And it looked from that high shot of the grid that the rain was starting to abate, I think. Ferdinand Habsburg making the point that if you're in the middle of the pack or the back of the pack, that spray and the visibility is going to be another issue. Nico Müller talking about the potential for aquaplaning with this circuit, which was resurfaced and very smoothly done now since it was relayed in February, and also therefore dries quicker, but the surface might be even more tricky in these very wet conditions at the start of the race. Habsburg saying he wants to get a good start to the race. He certainly got one yesterday from fourth on the grid. He went straight up into second place before gradually slipping back down the order a little bit. There's Harrison Ewing, one of the newcomers to the DTM this season. He's lining up on the 5th row of the grid and getting the chance to line up next to a former Grand Prix star, still a reserve driver with the Alfa Romeo Formula 1 squad. Has been doing on-off duties for that team this season in between his DTM getting news through as well that they are going to start the race behind the safety car. So that news just through. So the race will start for perhaps a lap or two, or maybe more depending on the conditions, behind the safety car. Another problem, and this was a problem yesterday, even though the track dried up, the pit lane doesn't dry up as quickly, partly because part of it is covered with the overlap of the garage and the race control building, and partly because, of course, there's not many cars going up and down mopping up the surface water. So yesterday, when they were coming in for their one mandatory pit stop during the course of the race, all on slick tyres, they had to be very careful to slow the cars down on a damp pit lane, and also accelerating away on cold slick tyres was a little bit tricky. We saw one instance where Rene Rast and Nico Muller came very close to contact with one another as they left the pits more or less together, battling for a podium position. Muller in particular getting a lot of wheel spin. Won't be as much of an issue now they've got wet tyres on yet, but you saw the teams getting the brooms out, mopping up as much of the surface water as they could, because again, it could be, although it still seems hard to believe at the moment, but it could be that at some point they'll come in and have to change to slick tyres. And then they will have to be careful accelerating when you've got 580 brake horsepower, slick tyres and a damp pit lane. There's the potential for things to go wrong very, very quickly. These cars get up to an extra 60 brake horsepower with the push-to-pass buttons that they can now use on the cars. And that will be deployed early on in the race. The DRS to reduce the angle of the wing to provide a more sleek car through straight lines to help with overtaking and passing, but also defending your position as well. DRS these days can be deployed in 50% of the expected total laps of a race, and you can use it up to 3 times per lap, which is much more than it was previously. The rule used to be up to 12 laps. And the 3-second DRS window scrapped this year as well, which means drivers are now free to use the device irrespective of the gap to the car out in front. The only one that can't use DRS, therefore, so you can use it to defend and attack these days, is the race leader. Ask Rene Rast all about that from his problems at Spa. And as I say, the push-to-pass gives you a short burst of another 60 horsepower. So when that's deployed, these cars have something like 640 brake horsepower. The usage of push-to-pass has been doubled this year as well, raced from 12 times in a race to 24. And you get a 5-second burst of that extra power, that extra injection of fuel. So it looks like, looking at the surface of the water on that shot, I can't see any movement, as in I don't think the rain is coming down anymore. Still a lot of surface water there, but it looks like it has stopped. And looking at the clouds that we saw and the skies that we saw from some of the wide shots, the better weather seemed to be coming towards the circuit. Important to roll then for safety car driver and for the officials, who certainly before the safety car went out, were busy getting rid of some of the puddles of surface water as well out on the circuit. Off the racing line, of course, will dry out much slower, and usually if you want to overtake somebody you have to go off the racing line, so that's another consideration. But if it does dry out as quickly as we anticipate, then those wet tyres are going to start to overheat and the times will go off. But there'll be a window where it's sort of 50-50 whether you should go for slicks or wet tyres. And whoever makes that decision first, if it comes to that, well, goes for slick tyres, well, everybody else is going to be monitoring their lap times. Confirmation that the race duration is going to remain as originally planned, so it will still be 55 minutes plus 1 lap. There's Lucas Auer, who had qualified last anyway. Now he's starting from the pit lane. Just trying to see what tyres he might have on. Is that Lucas's car? No. Just wondering if he's surely not gambling for slick tyres. He's going to start from the pit lane anyway, at the back of the field. And getting ready now for the safety car start, which is just about 5 seconds away, leading them off around this 4.5 kilometre long circuit here at Assen. Chance, if you didn't watch the race yesterday, to have a look at this track, which of course is most famous for motorcycle racing with MotoGP and the World Superbike Championship. The British Superbikes come here as well. So it's round 8 of 18 for the 2020 season. And you can see already just off the line how much there is in terms of spray. One thing we didn't get to talk about much yesterday, because he didn't really ever get involved in the race.
Check, René, and
was Jamie Green, and the fact that yesterday was his 200th race in the series. He's the most experienced driver of the current crop, and after this race, race number 201, he'll be 5th in the all-time list of drivers to have the most DTM starts. But we never got the chance to celebrate that because he had a battery problem with his Audi on the start line, had to get pushed off the grid, which took a while because with no power, there was no power steering, and the marshals had to try and manoeuvre a pretty heavy DTM car through quite a narrow gap in the Armco barrier to get the car out of the way, which is why we got another formation lap yesterday and a slight reduction in the race distance. Jamie's back on the 6th row of the grid for this one. I hope for his sake that race number 201 could be more of a celebration than race 200, but he'll be one of the drivers.
So Nico, just to confirm, it's change of climatic conditions already. The race is 55 minutes plus 1 lap, and we don't have the info about how the safety car restart will be.
Okay, it's confirmation, as we knew, that it's going to be 55 minutes plus 1 lap still.
Copy.
Also confirmation that they haven't yet been told how long they're going to be behind the safety car. For your information, even though this is essentially the first lap, the formation lap as it were, the clock has started to tick. This does count as part of the race time, so clock down already to 53 minutes. Trying to generate some heat in the tyres is Loic Duval just ahead, looking for his first win in the DTM after leading much of the race yesterday until the man you ride on board with now, Robin Fries, was able to get past with about 8 minutes left on the clock with a run down the back straight into turn 6. And it was due to the fact that Loic had just had a slight lock-up on the way into the very important but very slow left-hand hairpin at Stubborn. It's the slowest corner on the lap, but in some ways it's one of the most important, because if you get the exit to that one wrong, it's a first gear 70 km/h corner. If you get the exit to turn 5 Stubborn wrong, it kills your acceleration and your speed down. It's a very long back straight on that run down towards turn 6. The right flick and turn 7, which immediately follows it at Ruskenhoek. That was where a lot of the overtaking was happening during the course of the dry race yesterday. Another thing that's worth mentioning when you get wet weather conditions is that overtaking opportunities generally become more and more opportunistic, more and more varied, because there's more margin for error. The drivers make more mistakes, they run wide, they lock up, they understeer through corners. And not only can you attack going on the way into corners under braking, but you can also attack coming out of the corners if you can get the traction down well. So amongst the Audi protagonist there, the head of motorsport for DTM and Audi, which was Dieter Gass, who's going to be delighted with the way things are working out so far for both the Drivers' Championship, the Teams' Championship and the Brand Championship as well. After the qualifying points this morning, Audi have moved on to 488 points and BMW got less than half of that on 203 points. But they got their first win at Lansitzring thanks to Lucas Auer, a 1-2 no less, with Timo Glock just behind. And this is a real opportunity, with the weather big as it is, for BMW to pull something out of the bag here. Really do get the view of what the standing water is like there, that rear-facing camera, and what the spray could be like for the driver behind. So confirmation is going to be a standing start at the end of this lap. So standing start at the end of the lap, essentially using this safety car period at the start of the race, even though it's counted towards race laps, to mop up the surface water on the circuit and make it a little bit safer for the drivers, just to give them a feel for what it's like as well, because they haven't had the opportunity to drive in wet conditions so far this weekend, even though they're not at full speed. It just gives them a bit of a feel for it, and also gives them the opportunity to spot where some of the areas of standing water may be that they need to avoid. It's quite often that the racing line is not the right line to be on in the wet conditions. Sometimes a wider line is the way to go. But you can see, you're not going to call it a drying line really yet, but you can see there's certainly a line already forming where there's a lot less standing water, having just done a few laps behind the car, the safety car. So it's
Okay, Vinny.
Rennie Rast leading them onto the grid.
10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Half. Stop. Okay, good position. Go, 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 go. Stop. Perfect.
So Rennie Rast guided into position by Florian Rinks.
Perfect.
And the championship leader, Nico Moller, guided into position by his engineer, Felix Fechner. And he also had Ferdinand Habsburg being guided into position by his race engineer as well. A lot clearer. Green flag waved at the back of the field. For the second time this weekend here at Assen, we're about to go racing. It's round 8 of the 2020 DTM. Full wet conditions. Rast and Duval on the front row of the grid. Lights go out. We get racing underway here at Assen. Lots of wheel spin and sliding. Robin Fry just made a good start in the blue Audi to the right of your picture. For the second row of the grid, he might get the lead of the race here. Duval's gone with him. Duval's going to have the inside line. Rast to slip back to third place, and through goes into the lead of the race Loic Duval. Fry's in second, 1 or 2 running out wide just behind. Rast is there in third place. Habsburg's made another very good start in fourth place, and then got Nico Moller and Mike Rockenfeller side by side through the first sector here, running for 5th position. Muller's trying the outside line here, trying to get alongside the Ferdinand Habsburg car. Rast had to go at Fry's, but it doesn't pay off, so Fry's stays in second place going onto the back straight. It's Duval leading, Fry's second, Rast in third place. And look at the spray. If you're anything but the race leader, you can't really see where you're going down here. Trust in your memory of the circuit and where to brake. Not that you necessarily know that, because it's wet for the first time this weekend. Good start for Habsburg again, held on to that 4th place despite Muller running alongside him. Then it's Rockenfeller. Timo Glock has made a good start as well. He's just behind, revelling in these conditions, but terrific start to the race for Loic Duval. Actually off the line you'd say Fry's got a slightly better start, but the inside line was with Duval, and both of them had already got long past Rennie Rast, who's now trying to nibble back up the inside of Robin Fryns as they go through shot. Did he get there? No. The Dutch driver stays ahead. Face full of spray for Rennie Rast. Imagine sitting in your car in a jet wash or a car wash and having hundreds of gallons of water sprayed at your windscreen, and then imagine doing that at 250 plus kilometres an hour. That's what these drivers face. They are driving blind into some of these corners. I'm absolutely convinced of it. Through the final chicane, turns 16, 17 and 18 they go. That geared Timmerbock to end the first lap of the race since the standing start. Technically the first lap of the race, it's lap 4 because of the safety car that we had, and what a huge advantage we've got. 2.2 seconds for Loic Duval. Do you reckon he likes driving in wet weather conditions? Crikey, what a fantastic first lap that was. Fry's in second, Rast in third, Habsburg with 4th place, but just drifting out a little bit wide on the way into the right-hander at Ossenbrücken, with the green and white Audi of number 51 Nico Moller looking quicker but not yet able to find a way through. Rockenfeller follows them in 6th place, Glock in 7th. Jonathan Aberdeen lost a couple of places, so Aberdeen in 8th place now. Kubica in 9th, gained a place, and Harrison Newey is still in the top 10. Marco Wittmann, thought might be one to watch coming through in the wet conditions, hasn't made any progress yet. The BMW driver in 11th place, Eng 12th, Van der Linde 13th, Fabio Scherer 14th, Jamie Green dropped back to 15th on the first lap of the race. And Lucas Auer, who we saw starting with the pit lane, the initial start in the safety car, he's still there at the back of the field in 16th place in the number 22 car. So Loic Duval just starting to extend his lead a little bit more, but nowhere near as much as he did on the first lap of the race. Fantastic commitment from these drivers, as I say, are going into this just on feel really. We've got no data to look at from free practice or qualifying or the first race or the second qualifying session to know where to accelerate, where to brake, and just getting a feel for how late and daring they can be into the corners, how hard they can be on the accelerator, and how early they can get on the throttle, and the steering input required, all sorts, really just done by feel. Loic Duval, of course, is a very experienced driver, a former sports car world endurance champion. He's driving beautifully at the moment. Could this be his first win? Long way to go, 45 minutes plus 1 lap remaining on the clock. We're just finding a bit of a rhythm now. There is Marco Wittmann running in 11th place at the end of the lap. He's onto the tail of Harrison Newey though. I think it was Newey that possibly went a bit wide over the curbs on the way through turn 1 after the standing start. Didn't lose too much ground in the end, remains in the top 10. Habsburg under a bit less pressure on this lap, and the second half of the lap before from Muller got pretty close to him on the previous tour. And there you see Marco Wittmann has gained a place up on Harrison Newey, so that's put him into the points now, into the top 10. Replay of the start then. Duval left of the picture from second on the grid, already ahead of Rast. To the right, you've got Freins. They've got a really good start, got his nose in front, but was on the outside line. They go through turn 1. Was Harrison Newey going out wide, but not really costing him too much in the way of positions. Here's a replay from Robin Freins. Yeah, it didn't look like wheel spin from René Rast from that angle. It looked like it just bogged down a little bit off the line. Freins thought he might have got the lead of the race here, but as he turns in, you'll find Loïc Duval there on the inside line. That Marco Bollard at turn 6 has taken a real pummeling this weekend in dry and wet conditions now. Timo Glock, I think, the offender this time. Right, Muller's started to get himself back onto the case of Ferdinand Habsburg now. This is the battle for 4th place. Remember, Muller the championship leader, but both of his closest rivals in the points table are ahead of him now, with Freins in 2nd and Rast in 3rd place. If it stays like this, and it's a very long way from the end of the race, but if it stays like this, Freins would get 15 points. No, sorry, 18 points, and there'd only be 10 for Muller. So get that gap down again at the top of the championship table to, if it stays like this, 21 points. So for the first time in a while, somebody would be within a race win's worth of points of Muller, but let's not rule him out of making progress forward in this race just yet. Goes through. Rockefeller next. Timo Glock made a good start to the race. It's the first of the BMWs in 7th, Aberdeen in 8th, Kubica in 9th. His first point yesterday. Late on, he moved up to 10th place. He got his best qualifying performance this morning. And Kubica, one glimpse of him in damp, wet conditions was in one of the free practice sessions at Spa, where he went well. He was 4th quickest, so he'll like these conditions as well. Trying to defend his 10th position from Marco Wittmann in the background. And look at the amount of spray coming off the back of the car, with Philippe Eng just behind him, almost invisible, even though he's only a few metres behind. Back then to the driver in 2nd place, Robin Freins, the gap 2.3 seconds, so it stayed pretty static all that time, really. Loïc Duval made up in the first lap of the race. Takes a wider line than we've seen in the dry conditions on the way into the right-hander at Ossenbrücken, turn 3 and turn 4, and then into 5, the left-hand hairpin at Stubborn Down. The screen says that Robert Kubica's coming to the pits. There he is. So Kubica comes in. Wet tyres surely still going on. Yes, they are. So even though the track is beginning to dry, no
and remember brake bias. We're going until the end of the race.
We're going to the end of the race. That's sort of hopeful from their point of view, that wet tyres are still going to be the thing to have at the end of the race, because you can see that line drying. Still nothing like the point where you'd start to think about slicks, of course, but only a few laps in here, half an hour's time. If it doesn't rain again, that line is going to start to get very dry indeed. So an interesting strategy by the ART team and Robert Kubica, given that he had a good start to the race as well. So he drops to last place for the time being. But he has completed his one mandatory pit stop, and just be hoping that he hasn't going to come in and make another one with the tyres. So if there's another shower at some point during the course of the race, that will make that decision look very, very good indeed, potentially. Maybe Robert felt he was being held up in the pack and wants a clear track now to really attack. On board with Timo Glock. Even that far back from the car ahead, it's getting a fair bit of spray. Jamie Box, that says. So Jamie Green Habsburg is going to be the next one to come in and make an early pit stop. Pit window, you can come into the pits this year once the race leader has gone past the safety car line on lap 5. So, unlike last year and previous years where you could come in at any point, including at the end of the first lap of the race if you wanted to make your mandatory stop, there's more of a window now because we're well into that. So, there's the line through the chicane, much drier. It's damp rather than wet, but off the line, you would not want to be on slick tyres, which means there's some time yet before that's a consideration. I think what you need to do really is try and make these wet tyres last as long as possible so that when it comes to the point of you having to make your decision, having to make your mandatory stop, you know either way whether you've got to stick with the wet tyres or change to slicks. So that's why I was slightly surprised that Kubica came in as early as he did. Fastest lap of the race to Robin Frijns, 1 minute 38.044 seconds. But Timo Glock has just set the absolute best first sector of the race so far. Timo currently running in 7th place as the leading BMW driver. Struggled with tyre degradation in the race yesterday. He had good pace on Friday. He was saying just didn't quite get it together on Saturday. And there you can see Robin Frijns deliberately going off the racing line to try and keep the tyres cool, to try and get them wet on purpose so they don't start to overheat. Remember a drying track in the 1988 British Grand Prix. Nigel Mansell, who was driving a Judd-powered Williams up against turbo-powered cars, managed to get 2nd place by sticking with wet tyres, and even though it was a pretty dry track at the end, he kept the tyres cool enough by weaving off the racing line whenever he could to keep them damp by going through what remained of puddles on the off line. But look how much the gap has come down between the top 2 in these last couple of laps. Rast has set the absolute best first sector now as well, and Jamie Green has come into the pits, so we saw the sign, and Green has come in as the 2nd pit stopper already. 1.6 seconds the gap between the top 2. It was 2.3 a couple of laps ago, so Robin Frijns has got a bit between his teeth, but René Rast was half a second quicker than both of them through the first sector of the lap, so you'll just start to see him coming into the picture in the background now as well in the red and white Team Rosberg Audi, the number 33 car of the reigning champion, with a 37.7 second run through the first sector, gaining a lot of time there, and the pulses are starting to come back at these two. More stress for the team bosses. Thomas Biermeier, the boss of Abt Sportsline, the team that runs Robin Frijns and Nico Müller. And Frijns much quicker at this phase of the race, really much more aggressive on the way out of the chicane as well. They can see from that shot though, that line beginning to dry out. He goes left, he goes right, he shows his nose. Got to be a little bit careful. Duval will know he's there, but he won't necessarily see him in the mirrors because of all the spray. He's got the rear-facing camera as well. There you can see in the middle of the cockpit on Robin Frijns onboard camera. So sliding their way through, but the lap time's getting quicker and quicker for a lot of the drivers now. So their last lap times, these two, in the high 1 minute 38, and now it's the turn of Loic Duval to take a different line, a wetter line, to keep the tyres cool. Rast catching them up in the background, did a 1:37.8 on the previous lap. It was 3/4 of a second a lap quicker than those two. And this, the battle for 4th place between Ferdinand Habsburg and Nico Müller, who's been shadowing him since the start of the race now. There's a bit of breathing space between Müller and Rockenfeller in 6th place. Glock is catching Rockenfeller behind as well. He's, apart from René Rast, the only other driver in the 1:37s on the previous lap was Timo Glock. So 2 key battles in the top 5, one for the lead of the race, one for 4th position. Habsburg driving beautifully at the moment though. The excellent start to the race yesterday, but ultimately didn't quite have the pace to be able to keep behind him. The key championship protagonist. There's definitely a dry line forming on that part of the circuit. You saw them coming through, the sun starting to break through the clouds now as well. So through the very quick left-hander at Ramhoek, a dry line starting to come. I suppose that makes sense because they're carrying so much speed through there. And now here comes Robin Frijns with a better exit from the final chicane. He's through. DRS deployed, but it was all about the traction and the exit from the last corner. So well before he gets to turn 1 at Harbocht, Frijns is through and into the lead of the race, and Müller is through as well on Habsburg. So changes in the top 5. Frijns ahead of Duval. Rast stays third. Habsburg loses fourth place to Muller, and now you're on board with Timo Glock, who's going very well indeed and has got himself pretty much onto the tail of Mark Rockenfeller. Now, René Rast, who was catching both of the top two up until we had that change of lead, is looking like he's itching to get past Loic Duval now. Carrying great speed coming out of the stubborn hairpin on the way into turn 6, turn 7. On the curb, still happy to use the curbs, even though they're sometimes very slippy in wet conditions, but grippy enough for René Rast to be confident enough to ride them on the way out of turn 7. Right on the tail of Loic Duval, but no way through here just yet. There's the line beginning to dry. Duval defending as much as he can here, but the more he defends, the slower they'll get, and the more Nico Muller will catch the pair of them up as well. Nico's been absolutely released since he was able to find a way past Habsburg. He just passed him at the end of the previous lap. Where's Habsburg gone? Actually, he's dropped back further still. So Rockenfeller and Glock both come through. And Habsburg is in a moment somewhere because he's lost a lot of time all of a sudden. Van der Linde has made a pit stop as well now. So that's Kubica, Green and Van der Linde in. Robin Freins getting away from the pack. He's 3.4 seconds clear already of this battle for second place between Duval and Rast. Muller catching them up in fourth place. And then, as I say, Rockenfeller and Glock 5th and 6th now. Ferdinand Habsburg has lost 3 positions in just over a lap's time. So Habsburg down in 7th place now. Aberdeen in 8th, Newey 9th, Eng into the points in 10th place because Marco Wittmann has come into the pits. So Marco Wittmann, the latest driver to come into the pits. Is anybody going to be brave enough to go with slicks?
10 minutes around and leave the pit position straight as possible.
Rockenfeller and Glock side by side. It's going to go in favour of Glock, I think. Yeah, the BMW ahead of the Audi. Having to defend a little bit now, though, as Rocky tries to come back at him, but Timo Glock has got the position done and he's up to 5th.
And go, 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 go. Watch the white line on the exit.
Here's a replay. Way out wide on the wet stuff went Timo Glock, but he set it up beautifully, didn't he? It was a brave, clever move, that. Timo Glock getting through on what looked like the wetter, less grippy part of the circuit. It was hard work on the exit, but he made it stick. So we didn't see the tyre change for Wittmann, but from the radio call, you can almost guarantee he's going to be on wet tyres. Because, as we see, Jamie Green, who's come out just ahead of Marco Wittmann. Those two having already made their pit stops. Kubica as well, who made the earliest pit stop altogether. Meanwhile, René Rast with company because Nico Muller has now caught him up. It's only taken a lap or so. Duval still fending them off. Soaked up the pressure at numerous occasions this weekend, has Loic Duval. It's been a hard driver to try and find a way past. But yeah, just going back to Marco Wittmann, the snippet of conversation we heard over the radio was that more rain expected in 10 minutes. As if the radar is correct. Oh, look at this, Nico Muller looking to slide up the inside on the way into the stubborn hairpin and trying to get a better exit. He was very good on the brakes in the dry yesterday into that corner, Nico Muller. But he loses momentum coming out of the turn. They both concertinaed up to the back of Loic Duval. Stretches back out again as they go down the back straight and head towards turn 6 and through 7. Watch Muller here. Similar move that he was trying that Timo Glock pulled off on Mark Rockenfeller on the previous lap, but Rast positioned his car in exactly the right place to make sure that that was never going to happen. So easy to miss your braking point when you're running that close and going to the back of the car in front. Great driving from these three. Duval second, Rast in third, and at the back of the trio in fourth place, Nico Muller. Have a great start to the race, as yesterday really, where he dropped back to, what, 6th place at one point, very, very briefly. He was 5th for a little while before he started to work back through the order. A picture of concentration and focus on the face of René Rast here. 100% concentration required when you're driving in these conditions, well, in all conditions, when you've got 600 brake horsepower to try and harness. We're always having another go now at Duval. DRS deployed, slices down the inside and goes through. Watch Muller as well. Can he get through? Duval's trying to come back at René Rast, who's looking back from his car now. But Rast has got the job done. He's in second place. flying after them. Timo Glock has almost joined the group. His last lap was a 1:37.5. And Muller looks to the inside of Duval now and gets the car stopped just about. He got in front, but then I think he just got crossed up a bit and had to stand on the brakes a second time, so loses the position once again. But watch Timo Glock here, is absolutely flying after them. He's taken more than a second a lap out of them on the last couple of laps. He's driving beautifully in these conditions. We're right on board with Timo now, running in 5th place. Can he get another win for BMW? Can he get a podium? Work to be done, but he's driving beautifully, as we've seen. He's just reeled them in. He's going to find a way past now. And he want to do it quickly, because look how far René Rast has pulled away already. So he needs to dispose of Muller and then Duval ASAP. He might just do it as well. First time of asking, he slices up the inside. More grip for him, but the outside line is pretty quick on the exit for Nico Muller. And he swings back to cover off his line on the exit to the turn. Close stuff. We'll have to wait now to the start of the next lap. Try and get close on the way into the next chicane, the right, left, right chicane. At the end of the lap through Geert Timmerbocht, down to 2nd gear. In the dry, it's 125 kilometres an hour on the way through that corner, into that corner. Less than that in the wet. Muller might be going on the attack himself. Yes, he's going to squeeze down the inside of Loic Duval. It's the last dash move, but he's done it. And Duval's forced that one onto the curbs, and he's going to lose another place, this time to Timo Glock. Rockefeller under investigation for managing track limits, but he's been let off the hook. No problems there for him, according to the message you saw on the screen. Well, that was brave stuff from Nico Muller. Just left it to the last millisecond to go down the inside under braking. Duval suddenly found this green and white missile where he wanted to be and had to get out of the way rapidly. This is the perspective of Timo Glock just behind them, and they're having to get out of the way onto the wet stuff and then onto the curbs, which really sent him out wide. Was Loic Duval, and Timo Glock benefited from that move without really having to do too much. So Glock now up to 5th, Muller up to 4th. Freins in the lead by 8.1 seconds now though. 1:38.2 for him last time around, and 1:38.6 for Rast. The gap growing. 1:41s for Duval and Muller, as he held each other up through turn 1. Quickest driver on the track currently is Sheldon van der Linden in 12th place. He's just done a 1:36.2. He's one of the drivers to make a pit stop. He's the leading pit stopper actually in 12th place. Then it's Green in 13th, Kubica in 14th, Wittmann in 15th. They've all made a stop. Lucas Auer as well made a stop early on in the race. And there you can see the green graphic and the tower graphic showing you as Nico Muller gets a big twitch on through the middle of the chicane, on which lap those drivers made their pit stops. Starting to dry now. More and more drivers are going to find the wet patches, and that's what you're seeing there from White Rockefeller in 6th place. Duval has really dropped away very rapidly, hasn't he, from Muller and Glock. That overhead picture gives you a real perspective of how the line is much, much drier than off the racing line. As I say, slick tyres might soon start to be the way to go on the racing line, but if you make a mistake and go on the wet stuff, or you want to overtake somebody off the racing line, it's going to be still pretty treacherous. There, fastest lap of the race to Sheldon van der Linden, with last time around a 1:36.276. This one's even quicker. Absolute best in the 1st, 2nd and 3rd sectors. 1:35.854. He's flying. Now back to this battle between Marco Wittmann and Robert Kubica. They've made their pit stops. They're 14th and 15th at the moment. Wittmann is about to lunge down the inside, or try to, on the way into the 1st corner. He's going to do it. Can he slow the car down in time? Yes, runs a bit wide, but there's the rear-facing camera, and Marco Wittmann has made his way through. A terrific move, as he needed to do. Next target for him is to try and catch Jamie Green, who's about 4 seconds up the road. But are they going to have to come in and change tyres again? What they really need is for it to rain at some point again now, before this track gets too dry. Otherwise, they might have to come in again and change to slicks later in the race. 25 minutes, 39 seconds to go. Jonathan Aberdeen under investigation for track limits in turn 7. Ruskenhog, which is a quick 5th gear corner. I've seen a couple of those messages. No further action though, but they have got their eye on a few drivers at that part of the course. You can see some darker clouds coming in the background. It's just whether or not they release any rain.
Pressure. new set of wet tire. 17 laps to go.
Duval in then.
It's a big mistake. It's a big mistake. Wet tires, it's a big mistake. I told you the track is drying. It's a big mistake.
Go, go, go.
Duval is not happy.
Look, everybody. Fuck, man. Forget this app and just look at the weather.
Forget the app, man. Just look at the skies. Look at the track. He wanted slicks. He hasn't got them. Harrison Newey's come in now as well. So Duval disagreeing with the decision the team has made. One of them's going to be right, one of them's going to be wrong. It is getting darker. But if it doesn't rain again, if that cloud doesn't drop a bit of a shower in the next 5 or 10 minutes, Duval might well have a point. Looking back now at Timo Glock from the rear-facing onboard camera of your third-place man, Nico Muller, and catching up to Rast as well. There's Rast in second, Muller, who had the onboard camera, in third, and Timo Glock, who's really been impressive so far in these conditions, in fourth place. Race leader Robin Freins has just gone through. Gap's going to be 10 seconds, something like that, I would think. Yeah, 10.6 seconds it is now. Right, a fight on our hands for second place. Timo Glock with the luxury of pulling off the racing line to cool his tyres down as he went into the first corner. On the way now into turn 3 at Ossaboken. Through 4, tightens back up on itself and then into a real tight hairpin at Stubborn, and Nico Muller down the inside of René Rast to get second place. But watch Timo Glock, he's cleverly waited just behind him. He's got a much better exit. He's got Rast already. He might do something about Muller on the way into the break.
We know this is a big gamble, mate. We know it's a big gamble. There is 15 laps left. We don't expect more rain.
Well, that very much sounds like Mike Rockenfeller has gone for slick tyres, doesn't it? We'll wait to confirm. It's a bit of a gamble, but we're not expecting more rain. So, what Duval wanted, Rockenfeller has got. Yes, slick tyres. So we'll see how his times match those on wet tyres now over the next 5 or 6 laps. I'm sure he's still going to be a bit slower than them to start with. But the second that Rocky's times get quicker than those on wets, they'll all come in. Oh, look at that, Muller. Brave stuff. He's been very, very good at that corner all the way through. He knew exactly where he was going to put the car, and Rast couldn't do anything about it. Glock very cleverly waited, just hovered behind them. He knew they were going to hold each other up, got on the power better, and was able to get past Rast as well. So, as you knew, second place man, Nico Muller, third place, Timo Glock. Fascinating race. This is turning into 22 minutes plus 1 lap left on the clock. Still very wet through turn 1 at Harbocht. Right, Timo Glock, quick up, but he just took a bit too much curb then. Just saw the car losing a little bit of stability. Doesn't seem to have lost too much time though. He's all over the back of the Audi in front. BMW will be willing him on. Timo Glock takes a wider entry, tries to get on the gas with a different line, but Muller staying ahead of him flat out now until they get to turn 6, flashing the headlights. Excuse me, could you move out of the way, please, he says. Don't think so, says Nico Muller. And he's far enough ahead not to have to worry too much on the way into turn 6. And look how much they've left René Rast behind already. Shows that he did a good job to keep them from passing him for as long as he did, really, because he clearly hasn't got anything like their pace. Right, there's Rockenfeller, who we know is on slick tyres in the 99 car. So this will be his first proper lap, his first timed lap, and we'll see how it compares as he goes through. Even in dry conditions, it takes half a lap to get the slicks up to temperature. They're slippy and slidey anyway in dry conditions, even on a pretty warm day. We've seen that so far. So it's going to take a while to get them up to speed in these conditions. Glock on the attack again here. Muller with his mirrors full. Windscreen wipers still on, that spray getting less and less and less now. Yellow flag in turn 10. Somebody's had a moment. Here comes Timo Glock. Again, better traction coming out of the chicane. Is he going to launch one on the inside? He got on board with him now. And yes, he commits to the move down the inside of Nico Muller, and Timo Glock has done it. He's through to second place. Second place, but 11.5 seconds behind Robin Freins, who's driving beautifully. Green flag in Sector 11, so whoever had a moment has got going again. We'll see if anybody had a particularly slow lap last time around. Maybe a half spin somewhere. I reckon it was Jonathan Aberdeen who's just come through, but his lap time was 1 minute 48, lost about 7 seconds, and he's down to 7th place. So it's Robin Friends that leads, Nico Muller second now, Timo Glock second, Nico Muller third, René Rast fourth, Habsburg fifth, Eng in 6th place, going well, Aberdeen in 7th, Van der Linde in 8th place, the driver you're watching, and then Loic Duval, who's made his pit stop, but he's not happy with the tyre choice the team has given him, 9th, Marco Wittmann, who stopped early, 10th, Jamie Green, who stopped early, 11th, Lucas Auer, who's also had his mandatory stop, in 12th place, and Mike Rockefeller on wet tyre, on slick tyres in wet conditions at the moment, or damp conditions at the moment, he's in 14th place currently, and his lap time was a 1 minute 45.5, Mike Rockefeller. The leader's just on a 138.9, so has he gone a bit too early? He's losing 6 or 7 seconds a lap for a few laps. It's not going to be good. He'll also, if it's dry, have to, at the end of the race, have to be a little bit careful of not eating them up too much. But you can see he's having to really wait to get on the throttle, really be careful with how hard he hits the accelerator. Have to be smooth with everything, braking, accelerating, gear shifts in these conditions, and steering inputs as well. On board with your race leader, the gap's down to under 10 seconds. So on that lap, a slower lap for Robin, 1 minute 40.3, a 138.4, nearly 2 seconds quicker for Timo Glock in 2nd place. 140s for Muller in 3rd and Rast in 4th. A 141.1 for Eng in 5th, a 142 for Habsburg in 6th. He's been caught by Jonathan Aberdeen, who had a bad lap a couple of laps ago, but is back on pace now with a 139.9. And then you've got Van der Linde flying after the lot of them with a 137.4. Duval's gone through. Personal best lap of the race, 136.7. Quicker than all those ahead of him, Loic Duval in 9th place. So the wet tyre is still the tyre to be on currently. What about Mike Rockefeller? We'll see what his lap time is like when he comes through shortly. It was a 145.5 last time around. 2nd slowest driver out there. 3rd slowest driver, actually, because Fabio Scherer had a 149. Is that more rain on the lens? Has it started to come down again, or is it just from the spray? Rockefeller's gone through. That's better. 142.9. Rast is coming in. Is it going to be slicks or wets? Well, if it's not raining, you go slicks. If it started to rain again, nightmare decision. So probably slicks it's going to be. But yeah, that's 3 seconds quicker from one
We are
lap to the
virtually
next
on P4. It's Glock, Van der Linde and Robin in front of us. On pit exit, it will be Duval 0.8 seconds behind you. You will get a wet set with the same pressures as for the race. We expect some rain until the end.
Expecting rain. You're getting different.
Pit lane is clear. Pit lane is clear. Go, go, go. So you will have Loic 0.6 seconds behind you. Virtually Glock 1.6 seconds in front, and Van der Linde and Robin 10 seconds in front.
Pit lane's getting busy, so first of the front runners in from this group, from this period of time, is Muller. Duval's the one who's racing, he's already made his stop. Eng is in, Habsburg is in, Aberdeen has come into the pits as well, and I think we're expecting René Rast any moment now. So Loic Duval, does he come out in front of or behind Nico Muller? Have to be so careful to get the cars back underway as the three come out of the pits almost as one. Eng followed by Habsburg, followed by Aberdeen. And Kubica has already made his stop, it's going to be ahead of Aberdeen, and with his tyres up to temperature, might be able to get a couple more places here. Rockefeller in. He'd already come in and changed to slick tyres. And Robin Friends is in, the race leader, into the pits. Yeah, so it must have started to rain again. It's hard to see from the picture, isn't it? But it must have started to rain again because he just started to go quicker, and Rockefeller has had to come in and put wet tyres on. So maybe Loic Duval will owe the team an apology after saying it was a bad decision to put him on wet tyres again. Looks like it might have been the right decision. 15 minutes and a half to go now. Freund's going out. Timo Glock has come into the pits as well.
And it's 11 laps to go, 10 laps after this one, sorry.
So this, I'm expecting, is going to be wet tyres, isn't it? Surely for René Rast. Yes. Wet Hankook tyres.
We are P6 and getting undercutted by Duval and Van der Linde, and everyone pitting at the moment for new wet tyres.
Sheldon van der Linde around the outside of Robin Freund. Sheldon's already made his stop, and he has been going very rapidly the last 5 or 6 minutes. Rast coming out of the pits now. He's already a long way behind Robin Freund, and had lost a lot of ground to Muller and Glock. So there we see Glock, followed by Muller. Very wide there, hasn't he, Glock? He might be under attack soon. And then you got Duval, who made the stop earlier, behind the pair of them, but not far behind. And then it's Rast. And then Marco Wittmann coming into the shot now as well, another of the early stoppers. So that, from that picture, it looks like the dry line getting drier and drier, but from this shot you can see that rain coming down now. Windscreen wipers back on for a lot of them, and a lot murkier. Timo Glock, who last we saw, a big off here for Fabio Scherer. He's wiped out some of the tyre barrier and the front of the car. And Fabio Scherer out. That's going to bring the safety car out. He's just off the circuit there. Hopefully he's okay, but that looks like a big impact. I was wondering if Fabio had gone on to slick tyres, because he was so struggling around for pace. And if so, that would make sense, wouldn't it, with that rain coming down? It'd be a very difficult beast to try and control indeed. So Fabio Scherer has crashed out. Here's a replay. Oof, big impact. The tyre barrier absorbing a lot of the impact and doing its job. Yes, he was on slick tyres. He was on slick tyres. And he was probably on his way in, I would think, but just no grip whatsoever. Of course, the key concern is that Fabio's okay. WRT reacting to that, the team down in the garage. Their man out of the race, I'm afraid. And the safety car deployed. Just under 13 minutes left on the clock now. Started the race behind the safety car. So, good to see. Fabio Scherer walks away. Fabio is out of the car under his own steam and looks okay. Might still get a check-up to be safe. Jamie Green's in for a second stop. And Harrison Newey's having a run through the gravel trap. I think he's on slick tyres as well. Look at how much water there is and puddles there are, and mud on the grass. Get those slick tyres off ASAP. It's the wrong way to go. So this has fallen, well, sort of fallen into Sheldon van der Linde's hands. I say sort of because he had a nice big gap of 7.2 seconds. However, of course, they're all going to be back on him now thanks to the safety car. Jamie Green has gambled for dropping to the back of the group, but having some fresh boots on for the end of the race to try and attack. Might as well go for it, see what he can do. They're all going to be bunched together behind the safety car, and they'll have a bit of time to get some temperature in the tyres, because it's going to be a few laps behind that safety car, you'd imagine, before they can shift Fabio Scherer's Audi to safety, hoisted out of the way. Just the back end of that shot, that was a big off at high speed, just completely understeered off the road through the left, and I think that's a ram hook. And not a great deal of runoff there. There's a narrow strip of grass, and once he was on the grass, on slick tyres, the car probably accelerated rather than decelerated because of the amount of water there is. And from that shot, you can see a lot of rain and red flag. The race is being stopped. Really has started to come down now, the rain.
Wet. We go wait. We go wait on the grid. We go to the grid.
Right, Newey limps back to the pits, having had his moment through the gravel trap. Wet tyres go on to Harrison's car. Race is being red flagged. It doesn't sound like it's been declared. You're going back onto the grid, the team tells Harrison Newey. Once you've got these wet tyres put on, you're going to Thomas van Pachtenbecker, the engineer for Harrison Newey. So the car's going to stop on the grid. And Sheldon van der Linde, the leader as the race is stopped. Robin Frein second, Nico Muller third, Timo Glock fourth, Loic Duval fifth, René Rast sixth, Marco Wittmann seventh, Lucas Auer, where's he come from? Eighth, Philipp Eng ninth, and Ferdinand Habsburg 10th. Jamie Green was 11th, but he went into the pits to put more new wet tyres on. Kubica 12th, and Aberdeen Rocky, who was the guinea pig on slick tyres, and it looked like it was just about to start to work, but those with the apps were right. The rain did come again, and Loic Duval says this is a big mistake when they told him to put wet tyres on again. This, look at it. It's not raining. It's not going to rain. But they were absolutely right. Duval, though, off the podium positions, having gone in earlier than the others in that lead group. So, as it stands, van der Linde on course for a race victory. His first in DTM. Will the race get restarted? The clock has stopped, as you can see from the graphic in the top left corner of the picture, with 11 minutes and 7 seconds to go. I'll keep my eye on the screen, or part of the screen that gives us messages from race control. And the moment we get updated, we'll let you know. But the team at RBM down there, Bert Montpel's team, the Belgian runs squad, conversations going on as the team that runs the race leader, Sheldon van der Linde. And those very quick laps that Sheldon put in that period before, just before the leaders came into to pit, he got the fastest lap of the race. They proved absolutely critical. Been really impressed with some of Sheldon's performances so far this year. He's driven with great maturity and great speed. He's often been one of the front-running drivers for BMW. It's his 26th start in the DTM. Second season of racing in the championship. Got pole position, one pole position to his credit at Zolder last year. And his best result in 2019 was his best result so far is a second place finish, that maiden podium that he got at the Lausitz-Ring last year. A bit of up and down in terms of the results that he got, but he had some top 6 finishes, best of 5th early on in the season at Zolder, a race in which he, or the race weekend in which he managed to get onto pole position. So teams being sent out with wet weather gear on, umbrellas up. Right, we can get a bit of insight now from down in the pit lane, because Thomas Beermeyer, who runs Team Abs Sportsline, I believe, is speaking to Verena Riet.
Yeah, I've got Thomas Beermeyer here, so I just want to find out, in a moment like this, when the race is interrupted and it's raining again, how tough is that for the drivers, and especially also for you as a team boss?
Yeah, after this accident it was correct to put the red flag on, because I think the barriers are moved, so this was correct. For us it's not perfect because we're in a good position. We changed the tires so the performance would increase a little bit, and we were fighting for the win. So for us it's not perfect, and I'm a little bit angry because they put Scherer on slicks. He's a rookie, and in these conditions send him out on slicks. I don't agree. Not happy.
Okay, not happy, but at the moment it looks like the rain is getting heavier, so what are you expecting?
Yeah, now it's red flag, so he can wait until the rain gets better, or the weather gets better, and then we will hopefully have some nice, good, interesting last 5, 6, 7 laps.
Let's hope for that. Thomas Beermeyer, thank you very much. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Great to catch hold of Thomas, who we've seen lots of on the pit wall, and quite animated at times he has been, especially yesterday when he had 2 of his drivers in that lead battle. But yeah, quite strong words he had to say there about the fact that Fabio Scherer was put onto slick tyres by WRT, but you can absolutely see at the time why they did it. It seems ridiculous now, doesn't it, when you look at the weather, that anybody would have gone on slick tyres. But back then, what, 10 minutes ago, that track was drying until this latest rain burst came, which looks like it's set in now, looking at the pictures. And he wasn't the only one, was he? Newey on slicks, Rockenfeller on slicks, who from one lap to the next have suddenly gone 3 seconds a lap quicker. He was still going slower than those on wets, but if that rain had stayed off, 2 or 3 laps later, I think those times would have started to match when you were on slicks than those on the wet tyres, which were, for those who hadn't pitted, started to deteriorate, starting to overheat. But the absolute most important thing is that Fabio is okay. You know, the car looks fairly badly damaged, and their confirmation from Thomas BMI that the main reason the race has been stopped is because there's damage to the barrier, and they need to make that safe before they can get the race back underway. The teams certainly know what they're doing. They lead the team standings, second of the team standings last year. Got 5 drivers' titles in the DTM. 2 of them for Timo Scheider, who commentates on DTM for German TV these days, and Matthias Ekstrom got a couple of titles with the team. The first title with Laurent Aiello back in 2002, some 18 years ago. So Fabio Scherer's Audi is being winched to safety, but that isn't going to be the end of the story, because, as we've heard, they've got some work to do on the barriers now. Right, estimated restart time, it says on the screen, is going to be at 2:40. So that's just 9 and a bit minutes away. There you go, confirmation on the screen. So 9 minutes or so we have got before the race is going to get back underway. It's going to be a proper sprint race as well, isn't it? With very little time left on that clock. Plus 1 lap at the end of it. Right, who's going to win this one then? Van der Linde, Freins, Muller? Oh dear, it could be an opportunity, maybe, Verena, for a BMW victory here, but it is all up in the air. Who have you found to speak to?
At the moment, everything is up in the air. Who knows how this is going to turn out? I've got Rudi Dittrich with me now from BMW, and all eyes are on Sheldon van der Linde, who's in P1 at the moment. Obviously, the rain, you know, is not in our favor at the moment because the race is stopped, but it's looking good for Sheldon.
Well, we would have been also okay to just continue and finish the race where we are, but the weather is what it is. There was obviously a severe crash, so it was right to stop the race at this point. And obviously now the preparation is under full go to really make sure that we can keep, or ideally for some other guys also improve the positions in the remaining 10 minutes.
And also, let's just talk about Timo Glock. I mean, what he's been doing in this race is absolutely amazing. We've seen some superb action on the racetrack, so hopefully we're going to see a podium for him, maybe too.
Well, that'd be great as well. As you say, it was quite different races for Timo and for Sheldon. Both had extraordinary good pace, but just Sheldon was on his own and quietly crawling forward without much attention, and Timo was the opposite, was still in the train, and delivered, I think, some very good, nice action. It was good to watch.
Absolutely. So let's cross our fingers that hopefully soon we can get back racing. Best of luck for the rest of the race, and back to you.
Thanks, Verena. So good to hear from Rudolf Dittrich there from BMW, and very optimistic, very bubbly and lively, and I think he senses an opportunity here. Got a BMW in the lead, Sheldon van der Linde. You got Timo Glock 4th for the restart, and I wouldn't rule out Marco Wittmann either in 7th place. Lucas Auer in 8th. You got Philipp Eng in 9th. So BMW's up there in the mix, but some very quick Audi drivers in amongst them as well, of course, with Freins, the championship leader Muller, and Duval, who led the race early on, and we know was pretty confident going into the wettest part of the race at the very start of the race. He was the one that just took the race by the scruff of the neck and put in a blistering first lap. Remember, at the end of the first lap, he was 2.2 seconds ahead of anybody else. It was quite a sight to behold. So if you can get the car off the line well for the restart and take that sort of confidence into the first lap or two of the race, even though he's back in 5th place, Duval could still be a factor in this one. René Rast you'll never rule out. Wittmann likewise, and won a race here in the wet last year. So it's completely up in the air here, but a huge opportunity this for Sheldon van der Linde, still just 21 years of age. From a motorsport family. His dad, Sean, used to compete in the South African Touring Car Championship for BMW. Won the title in 1994, and he was twice a runner-up in that championship. And he's the younger brother of Kelvin van der Linde, who's a multiple GT champion, and in fact the reigning ADAC GT Masters champion with Audi, and was the GT Masters champion back in 2014 as well. Has also been a Nürburgring 24-hour race winner. 24-hour race, which is normally in May, is going to be in September coming up very shortly, the 24-hour race, sadly without public. Terrific event that is. So can he become a DTM race winner now? He's had an impressive season so far at times. Very good 6th place finish in the second race at Spa. Even better to get 2nd place at the Lausitzring and his maiden podium. That was the 3rd race of the season. Didn't fare quite so well around the GP circuit with point scoring finishes, 9th and 10th, but that was partly because he had a problem with the car on the grid in the 2nd race and dropped to the back of the field. So actually to get 10th place with some good overtakes was a very strong drive from him in that what was the 6th round of the championship. And then yesterday in the points again with a 7th place finish, having been a little bit off the pace, well, not just him, but the BMWs generally in qualifying. He was able to put together a really strong race performance to get into 7th position. 2 young South African drivers, Jonathan Aberdeen and Sheldon van der Linde, the best of the BMWs in yesterday's race result. Well, look at the track and then look at the grass as well. You cannot afford to go out wide, wet tyres or not, onto that grass. It is absolutely sodden. Rain still very much coming down here. I feel really sorry for the spectators who've been hugely excited to come out and watch live motorsport for the first time this year. Had pretty decent weather yesterday, apart from a heavy downpour for about 45 minutes or so in between qualifying and the race, but otherwise it has been fairly good. Right, Fabio Scherer is the driver for the WRT team that has come off and brought about this red flag. We can find out more about that now with Verena.
Yes, and I've got Thierry Tassin here. So let's find out about the incident with Scherer. First of all, is Fabio okay?
We believe Fabio is okay. He went to the medical center, the race director said. We tried to go on slicks. Rocky did the same, Harrison knew way too, and it was very tricky because it started to rain again. He tried on slicks, and unfortunately he went off, and I believe he's okay, I hope anyway.
We hope he's okay. Unfortunately, the car is not, and also we got some critique earlier on from Audi saying, how can you let a rookie go on slicks? So what is your judgment on that?
Well, because the engineer thought that it was going to be dry.
Yeah.
So they thought it was going to be dry, and there was an advantage to be on the slick tires.
Fair enough. Monsieur Tassin, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. And back to you.
Yeah, I mean, you can only, I guess, react to the information you've got, and the information when you looked at the skies and you looked at the track was that slick tyres were very much coming into play. Of course, you can look at an app, but apps don't guarantee the weather. They can tell you what clouds are coming. They cannot predict exactly when that rain is going to fall, if it is going to come out of the clouds. And you know, I've got to use what considered to be a fairly reliable weather app, which is pretty accurate, gives you satellite information minute by minute. And when it was raining on the grid, the app was saying no rain forecast for the next 2 hours. So they can be wrong, which is why Loic Duval was getting so het up, as we heard from the team radio. As one of the other drivers that took the gamble to go on wet tyres. I mean, I guess it's all very well in hindsight saying it was the wrong decision, isn't it? As I say, you've got to make the decision based on the info you've got at the time. You can see steaming up in the car is a bit of an issue as well in these conditions. The temperatures drop and the rain comes out. So Harrison knew his windscreen is going to need a good wipe before he's sent back on his way. The scheduled restart time then, still, according to the screen, still going to be 2:40, so that means we're only about a minute and a half away. I'm intrigued to see what Jamie Green's going to do in this as well, because he was the one driver that came in to swap from what were already wet tyres to more new wet tyres. Is that going to give him super grip for the final laps of the race? He's got work to do though, from 11th. Well, was 11th? He's going to be further back than that now, isn't he? Because Harrison knew he's got new wet tyres on as well. So there'll be two drivers weaving around trying to generate a bit of heat in them. They'll all be trying to generate some heat in the brakes as well, because when it gets back to speed, they want to know that the car is going to slow down and turn in when and where they want it to, precisely on the way into that first corner at Harbocht. So engines fired back up, tense times down in the garages and on the pit wall. Nothing more they can do now. It's down to the drivers. At least they haven't had to worry about the decision they've made. It's been made for them. It is wet tyres. It is a wet race. And it's going to be frenetic, this. A mini race within a race of 11 minutes plus 1 lap or so. Looking relaxed but focused, Nico Müller. Sheldon van der Linde and Robin Freins just ahead of him. And then it'll be Müller restarting in 3rd, Glock in 4th, Duval in 5th, Rast in 6th, Wittmann 7th, Auer 8th, 9th, Habsburg 10th. Habsburg's been making good starts as well, hasn't he, this weekend? So he might be one to watch coming forwards. But Duval might be the one, because in these very similar conditions to this, probably not as wet as this, but as close as it's been, he was absolutely mega for the first few laps of the original start of the race, once the safety car had peeled in and we had the standing start. The clock begins to tick down. We are behind the safety car, but this is counting towards race distance. Good news if you're at the front, if you're Sheldon van der Linde, less time to have to defend it. Bad news if you're trying to charge your way back up the pack. It's going to be, what, 3 or 4, maybe 5 laps of racing that we'll get. It's assuming the safety car comes in at the end of this one. There's going to be no Indianapolis style restart. And they are going to get 2 laps behind the safety car. So they're lapping over 1.5 minutes anyway at full speed. So that's 3 minutes, but the safety car's obviously a lot slower. So you're talking at least 5 minutes behind the safety car. Now 4 minutes maybe, something like that. 4 minutes of actual race speed action here, plus another 2 laps. So at most, we're going to maybe squeeze 4 laps out of this. More likely 3. Depends on the pace of the safety car leading them round, I guess. But it's not going to be too long for Sheldon van der Linde to defend his race lead, to try and get this maiden race victory. It's not going to be long at all for those trying to, as I say, make their way back through the pack to make their moves. So the decision is, you've got to go for it now. Of course, there are those involved in that front 6 that have also got to think about points and how much of a risk they're prepared to take. Timo Glock not really in that position. He's definitely going to be a danger man on the restart, given how well he was going in the wet conditions. But if you're Nico Müller or Robin Freins or René Rast, how much of a risk do you take now? Because it is going to be a risk, whatever you do, trying to overtake in these conditions. Trying to overtake in any conditions, you always put yourself at risk, but particularly in wet weather like this. If you get turned in on, if the driver ahead doesn't see you, if you miss your braking point and go off the road, it could all end in disaster. It could end in no points. Are you prepared to risk a 3rd or a 5th place and some solid points to try and charge your way up the order in just a few laps of racing? Or do you sit where you are? It's head versus heart, I guess, in these conditions and in that situation. As René Rast said to Verena when he was talking on the grid before the real rain came down, when you're trying to make a decision when it's a 50-50, you can't really take the big risks when you're at the front of the field, in the front of the grid. You can take more risks when you're further back and you've got less to lose. Rocky's going to be one to watch as well, isn't he? From 14th position, he was enjoying the wet weather conditions before he made what ultimately was the wrong decision to go on slick tyres. And he's right back to 14th place now. Just 7.5 minutes left, making their way now through turns 7 and 8. It's about halfway around this lap. Safety car should be coming in at the end of this lap, and then we'll be back up to speed. So it's going to be, I think, under 6 minutes. It's actually been relatively rapid laps behind the safety car, quicker than I thought, which is good for 2 reasons. One, we might get a bit more racing, and 2, it's allowed the drivers to get a bit more heat in the tyres at this slightly increased speed. So safety car leads them out the far point of the circuit now. Through turns 10, 11 and 12. And then I'll go up to this very quick sector through 13, 14 and 15 Ramhock, which which is 6th gear in dry conditions, and 265 kilometres an hour. And then the all-important chicane. Got to get a good exit there. Safety car lights out. The safety car is going to peel in, and so Sheldon van der Linde now drops back. Continues to weave, continues to try and put some heat in the tyres, and he'll be standing on and off the brakes to try and get that resolved as well. Looking for his first race win. Right behind him, though, is somebody that got his first race win in the DTM yesterday, Robin Freins, and it's his home circuit. It's his home nation. He's got a lot of fans behind him, but so too, watching at home, will Sheldon van der Linde. Just 6 minutes to go then, and the race about to get back underway. Van der Linde leads the charge through. Plus 1 lap at the end of that 6 minutes, remember. He's going to be okay on the way into turn 1. And just behind, we've got Loic de Waal trying but failing to find a way past Timo Glock for 4th. Now he gets a better exit though. Loic de Waal goes through at turn 2 into 4th place, ahead of Timo Glock. Important move that, the top 3 as they were. Sheldon van der Linde leading the way. Robin Freins in 2nd. And look at René Rast now trying to come alongside Timo Glock in the battle for 5th place to go through the left-hand hairpin at Stubborn. Lots of drivers going side by side in the mid-pack as well. There's an idea of how little visibility you've got if you are anything but the race leader. It's virtually zero. Sheldon van der Linde keeps his nose in front. Freins in 2nd, Muller in 3rd, de Waal in 4th, and René Rast has gone through to 5th place. Down the straight, he squeezes past Timo Glock. He must have got a better exit coming out of the hairpin. So Glock, who looked like he might be one of the drivers to watch here, has actually gone backwards a little bit by 2 positions on the restart lap. Just under 5 minutes to go. Sheldon van der Linde has pulled away, if anything, through the middle sector. It's 3 or 4 car lengths clear now. But it's all still pretty tightly bunched up. They're all still an adventure for the drivers as they try and work out how much or how little grip there is actually available to them on this track, which is wetter than it's ever been now throughout the course of the weekend. Ferdinand Habsburg and Marco Wittmann going side by side, but Wittmann fending him off. A couple of attacks there from the Austrian, but the 2-time champion keeps him at bay for now. Here is Sheldon van der Linde then, coming into turn 16, 17 and 18 at the end of the lap. The chicane gets the back end stepped out a little bit there as he accelerates, unleashes 580 brake horsepower, and it's getting tight for 2nd place now as well. Nico Muller, the championship leader, up against the driver that's closest to him in the points table, Robin Freins, but Freins stays ahead. They're 2nd and 3rd. They're falling away from the race leader. Van der Linde is driving absolutely beautifully on this restart. He hasn't done anything wrong at all so far. We're not going to talk about that anymore because there's still relatively a long way to go here. De Waal is being tracked by Rast. They're 4th and 5th. Glock has fallen away in 6th place. You got Wittmann 7th, Habsburg 8th, Auer 9th, Eng in the points in 10th. Rockenfeller's made up 3 places on that first lap. He's up to 11th place now. So he's going for points. Habsburg in the background is going side by side once again with Marco Wittmann. Trust me, because you can't see them. Here they come, and Habsburg's through this time. So Habsburg, before they get to turn 6, makes the position up and gets ahead now. Marco Wittmann for 7th place in the race. Driven well in these conditions, driven well all weekend actually, as Ferdinand Habsburg. Particularly good qualifying performance yesterday, put him 4th on the grid. Freins staying ahead of Muller in that battle for 2nd place. And then the 28 car of Loic de Waal still ahead of René Rast, number 33, as they come through your shot in 4th and 5th position, pretty much glued together. I can't imagine René Rast can see a thing when he's that close to the tail of the Audi driver who shot up the championship table into the top 5 after his 2nd place finish yesterday. René Rast knows, though, that his 2 big rivals in the championship are ahead of him and outscoring him. Sheldon van der Linde, though, might be doing him a favour here by taking all 25 points. 2.5 minutes to go. The gap, 1.1 seconds at the end of that lap. 1:41.2. So going 6 seconds a lap slower than they were before the red flags came out now on those wet tyres. It really has started to chuck it down, as you've seen. And look at René Rast, he's getting very close now. Can he have a go, maybe? Coming onto the back straight. Habsburg's latched himself onto the back of Timo Glock as well. That one looks like it's going to change anytime soon. Muller has another look at the inside of the Stubborn hairpin, his favourite corner, to try and get past Robin Freins, but he can't do it. And Rast has actually dropped back. Watch Habsburg in the black number 62 Audi onto the tail of the luminous yellow Timo Glock car. Who's going to emerge from the mist ahead in that particular battle? It's going to be Glock for now, but here comes Habsburg looking down the inside. Has to pull back in line, though, when they get to the braking zone. Got the better run, but he was just a bit too far back. Rast continuing to hassle Duval in that battle for 4th place. Race leaders edged out a little bit more time. Sheldon van der Linde is 1.3 seconds clear now. 2/10 up on this lap compared to Robin Freins. But Robin is outscoring the championship leader once again, on for 18 points. For 3rd place, Muller's only going to get 15. Close the gap again, but a good weekend in that respect for Freins, not to mention his race victory. Now, Duval is really coming under fire from René Rast as they made their way through the left-hander at Ramhoek, coming down towards the chicane, but I think he'll stay ahead for now. And look at the amount of water coming off the wings of the cars here as they come towards the end of the lap. 52 seconds to go. That means 2 laps to go, because the clock will tick down to 0 on this one, then we get the 1 lap added on at the end of the 55 minutes. Well, of course, in reality, it's been a lot longer than 55 minutes, this race. So, 2 laps for Sheldon van der Linde to keep it all together, to get the race victory. Terrific effort that will be as well for him. Habsburg having another look at Timo Glock on the way to turn 2. He's going to lunge up the inside, going into the stubborn hairpin. He's going to try to go left now. No, too far back. René Rast closes up just ahead of them to the tail of Loic Duval. But it's side by side just behind as well, with Lucas Auer going wheel to wheel with Philippe Eng. Got on the inside, but the outside line gave better traction coming out of the corner, and Eng stayed ahead of him. Sheldon van der Linde started this race 14th on the grid. He's leading the way. Nose to tail still between Glock and Habsburg as they battle for 6th place. Glock in the BMW, Habsburg in the Audi. BMW on course for their 2nd win in 3 races, though. With van der Linde still at the head of the field. He's kept the advantage of 1.3 seconds throughout this lap as well. He's got 1 more to go at the end of this one. René Rast trying desperately to find a way past Loic Duval, but Duval having his best weekend of the season so far. As I've already said, he's not an easy man to overtake in any conditions. So he remains 4th at the moment, the Frenchman. Any changes further back? Nothing major. Rocky still not quite in the points, trying to catch up to the tail of the battle with Lucas Auer and Philippe Eng. Here again then, Loic Duval on the brakes as late as he can, but making sure he doesn't get too scruffy through the corner. The leader's gone through to start the last lap of the race and has got the gap out to 1.6 seconds. René Rast pulling out of the rear wing of Loic Duval's car as much as anything, just to be able to see where on earth he's going rather than to seriously try and overtake. He's almost pushing Loic Duval through the corner here in this battle for 4th. They go through turn 2, they go down towards turn 3, drop down to 2nd gear for Otterboken, and again Loic Duval puts the car in exactly the right place here. The last lap of the race, Rast looks to the inside. Out wide goes Duval, but he might have more grip on the exit, but Rast was thoroughly alongside. There's your race leader, number 31, Sheldon van der Linde. Freins in 2nd, Muller in 3rd. Those 3 positions look to be settled. Who's 4th? It's still Duval. He's still kept René Rast behind him. Sheldon van der Linde, though, beautiful drive all the way through this race. Pit stop strategy worked. The lap times were mega, and they still are compared to everybody else. Timo Glock trying to catch up to that battle with Duval and Rast, but he's running out of time. The flag, he can almost taste it now. He can almost see it. He's just got to keep it together. No mistakes. That's all it requires. He's got a big buffer now of 1.7 seconds back to Robin Freins, yesterday's race winner. He's into the final sector. Spray coming from the back of the BMW. Windscreen wipers on full chat. The line, ridiculously, already starting to dry up a little bit, but the car still dancing around on a very wet track into the chicane for the final time. There is going to be a roar. We've got another first-time winner of the DTM, and this time it's Sheldon van der Linde.
Yes! Yes! Yes, boys! You freaking geniuses!
We did it! We did it, man. Waited super long for this one. Thank you so much, boys. Amazing strategy. From P50 to P1, baby. Yes!
I think he's happy. I think he's happy. Sheldon van der Linde, well, attributing a lot of that to the team. You geniuses, he says. I tell you what, it was a genius drive, though. It is a team effort, as he quite rightly says. Sheldon van der Linde wins in the DTM. Robin Freins 2nd. Nico Muller back on the podium for the 2nd time this weekend in 3rd. Loic Duval did fend off René Rast for 4th place. Oh, that's nice. What a gent. René Rast gives a little wave to Sheldon van der Linde to congratulate him on his maiden victory. It's not that long ago since René Rast was a first-time winner of the DTM. He's had 2 titles and 19 or 18 other wins since then, so he remembers the feeling well. But here is the moment that Sheldon van der Linde crossed the line, the team cheering him past after he took the checkered flag. A dramatic race, weather affected, delayed start, a red flag, a short restart, but he did not put a wheel wrong and thoroughly deserving of his first DTM race victory. He said he had to wait a long time for this, but you know what? It's only his 26th race in the DTM. There are a lot of drivers that have done far more than 26 races and never won a DTM outing. So the 21-year-old, as we already knew, with a bright future ahead of him in these grey skies, he has taken the race win by 2.6 seconds in the end. Pulled away even more on that final lap of the race. Robin Freins in second place, third for Nico Müller, fourth for Duval, fifth Rast, sixth Glock, seventh Habsburg, eighth for Wittmann, ninth for Eng, and into the points from the back of the field, remember, Lucas Auer in 10th place, Rocky was 11th, Green was 12th, Aberdeen, sadly for him, dropping back to 13th in the end, Kubica 14th, Newey a lap down in 15th, and Fabio Scherer crashed out of the race 16th. And you can see the sheer joy at Team RBM there. Glimpse we saw in the earlier shot, Bert Montpé, the team boss, but you can see the joy. Unexpected victory, but a well-deserved one. There's the update of the points table. Nico Müller on 164 points, Robin Freins on 138. René Rast closes up to them on 120 points, or closes up to Freins. Then we've got Loic Duval 71, Timo Glock 62. Sheldon van der Linde up into the top 6 in the championship table now. As we saw, a result like that can really boost you up the table at this phase. With one more race to go before we're at the halfway stage in the season. And the rain was just what they needed. The crowd appreciative. Great for Sheldon to be able to win in front of a live crowd as well as all the people watching around the world. Gets that instant gratification of a round of applause from those that have braved the conditions here this weekend to come and support the racing in the DTM. A word for the brilliant marshals around the circuit as well, who stood out in all sorts of conditions this weekend and done a great job for everybody here as ever. Sheldon van der Linde, a race winner. 2 new race winners this weekend, so it's fantastic to see. We've seen him get his first podium this year, we've seen him get his first race win now. But that man keeps on bagging the points, doesn't he? 3 wins at the start of the year, and more podiums for Nico Müller. That is why he's at the top of the championship table, looking for his first DTM title. Another 15 points, another 3rd place, and only once this year has he been off the podium. And even that wasn't a terrible result, 5th place at the Lausitz-Ring. So Müller has pulled off some brave overtakes across the course of the weekend, particularly into the hairpin. Comes away with another 15 points, another 3rd place finish. But again, he's been caught, not by many points in this race, but he has been caught by Robin Freins, one of the stars of Assen. Yesterday's race winner, a win and a 2nd, and he too has had some seriously consistent results this year. That's his 6th visit to the podium in 2020 already from 8 races. But here's the start. Sheldon van der Linde, BMW Team RBM driver, after 141 kilometres of tense, concentration absorbing racing, gets the victory and wins comfortably in the end by 2.6 seconds. Perfect strategy from the team, perfect driving from the man behind the wheel. And this is what it means to win in the DTM, and especially your maiden victory. A race and a day that he'll never, ever forget. You don't need to see his face, you can see the smile through the eyes, through the body language. Sheldon van der Linde, Robin Freins congratulates him. He had that feeling yesterday. Took him longer to get there though. That's less than 30 races to get your first win in DTM. Good going.
of the season 2020.
So the top 3 cars are parked up and the podium ceremony about to begin. We'll have the top 3 drivers, of course. We'll also have the representative of the winning race team. But first up, it's Nico Muller onto the podium for the second time this weekend. More silverware to the championship leader. And when you've got a race like that, and a race in which he dropped back again at the start, he'll be relatively satisfied. Big cheer for the Dutchman, Robin Freins. A first and a second place this weekend. Doesn't get very much better than that. But watch this. There's going to be a lot of energy in a moment. And it's going to come from a race winner, Sheldon van der Linde, and the winning team, of course, getting their trophy as well. And took him there to that victory. Very well done to Team RBM. And a huge congratulations to Sheldon van der Linde. First South African on the podium in DTM, first South African winner. It's going to be a hugely proud moment when they play that national anthem in just a few moments' time. So for the first time, we hear the South African national anthem played across the tannoys here in the DTM. And it's Sheldon van der Linde that will raise the winner's trophy aloft for the photographs. He clenches his fist, he points the #1 finger to the sky. It's the latest in a string of very impressive drives from the 21-year-old. He's a real star in the making. Champagne time. Muller usually wins this one. Watch him on the right. Cracks it open. I love the way he does that. And take cover, everybody, as if they weren't wet enough. Oh, dear. The dry cleaning bill is going to be pretty high between this and the next round, just next weekend at the Nürburgring. Many congratulations to our top 3, and particularly to that man, Sheldon van der Linde. One of the early pit stoppers. Went for the wet tyres. But there was a worry, I'm sure, at that point as to whether they'd need to come back in again with the track drying as rapidly as it did. And he'd already got the tyres up to temperature. This was the key moment. Carried the speed around the #4 car of Robin Freins. You're on board with now. Like a missile coming past as Robin got no chance, really, trying to get the tyres up to temperature. And that proved to be critical, because just after this was when the race got red flagged, and on the restart it was Sheldon who got to take the start and did so without flaw, taking a race victory which, you have to say, never, since that restart, never really looked in doubt. It's an absolutely fantastic way to end the weekend here at Assen. It's been a fabulous race. Hope you've enjoyed it. We've got the Nürburgring coming up for the next 2 weekends. But let's hand back now to Verena and your race winner for the first time in the DTM. Let's hear from him now.
What a fantastic race, and here's the man who's got his maiden victory, Sheldon van der Linde. Congratulations, coming from P14, driving a perfect race with a perfect strategy. Honestly, right now, how do you feel?
I can't really hear you right now, but I can just say that I'm super happy to be, first of all, back on the podium for the second time in, I think, a month now. So things are really working out for us at the moment, and yeah, I for sure had a guardian angel looking over me today. Going from P14 to P1, we never thought that at the start of the race, but just shows that anything is possible. And yeah, I think those boys deserve it. We worked so well together, and it's just great to be here.
You did a great job. Can I see that finger one more time?
Thank you.
Woohoo! All right, so Sheldon van der Linde, his very first victory in DTM. It was phenomenal. The rain is starting to pick up again, and we're going to be at the Nürburgring next weekend, back to back with Assen, Nürburgring, and then we've got another Nürburgring coming up. So we're super psyched to have so much racing within this short period of time, and I hope you're all going to watch. So see you then, and these are the highlights of Assen. Enjoy, and see you next week. Mwah.